So, Rob, seriously, I asked you not to touch my drum set, and you put your nutsack on my drum set.
I am so not a raper. I don't know why you keep thinking I'm molesting you all the time.
You threatened me with a bike.
Yeah, right.
What's
up,
going on, man?
Nothing. How you doing?
Good. It's been a while since we've done this.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Maybe about a year, I would say, right?
I mean, the last show I did was a couple months ago with the Johnny B Guitars. I interviewed him, and that was a lot of fun. But I think, yeah, the last one you and I did was, gosh, that was like a year ago.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, I know.
And then I'll do this for Rob.
What?
There you go, buddy.
I was actually just playing that song on guitar the other day.
I got all the sound effects here, so don't forget it.
Oh gosh. Hey, yeah, do the Arnold one, the one that we always laugh about.
I don't have that one on here. I don't. I got to totally.
That's the one that got me like hooked on that.
So what's going on, man? Thanks for putting this together. This should be a good time tonight, for sure.
Yeah, we'll give everybody kind of a chance to kind of jump in, and then we'll go through and say some highs. But yeah, it's been a while. I get messages almost every day on Messenger and Instagram, and Rob, when are you going to do another show? When are you going to do this? And it's not a lack of wanting to; it's a lack of having the time to, and and actually sitting down and preparing it. But I actually reached out to Kurt yesterday and was like, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow night?" And my girlfriend Jess was like, "Are you going to do a show tomorrow night?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" She's like, "Okay, go have fun with it." So I messaged you, and you were like, "Let's do it." So it's been way too long, my friend. Definitely.
Yeah, buddy. And these things are supposed to be for fun. As soon as it becomes like not a job, but a requirement, I think it loses a little bit of the spark. So I appreciate you inviting me. I see a bunch of people in the chat here. They're probably all fans of you, not me. But yeah, man, it's good to hang with you, especially since we're all the way across the United States from each other. We talk frequently on the phone, but it's kind of cool to hang with Rob for, I don't know, hour, 2 hours tonight, depending on how much we drink.
It's always cool to hang with me. I mean, geez, I mean, anybody should be so lucky.
Yeah, right? Speaking of hanging with you.
Yeah, right.
What kind of person do you think you are?
You know what? When people ask me what I think of myself and who I think I am, this is what I show them.
You got to click on it.
Where is it? Add to stream?
Yeah, there you go. Whoa. Why isn't it showing?
Yeah, exactly.
This is our first time, people. Hold on. Let me try this again, Rob.
Yeah, we're organized. Actually, the screen looks better that way, though.
All right, now there you go.
Hold on, I can't see the chat anymore. Oh, I'm in full screen mode. Please forgive me.
Today's our first day.
It's my first day. All right, here we go. So when people ask me what I think of myself,
yeah,
I show them this.
I didn't realize your hair was that long in the back.
yeah, it is. And I do manscape, by the way. So
it's the stole
definitely not. Anyways,
you gotta excuse Rob and I's humor. Because a little bit right there is just a teaser of our humor.
Yeah, if you're looking for the G-rated version, or you have thin skin, or you get offended easily, I mean, don't watch this. But anyways,
hey,
yeah, we'll go through and say highs here in a second. I just wanted to say, yeah, thanks, Kurt, for jumping on. Kurt and I have been friends for a few years now. And about a year and a half ago, we were just talking on the phone one day, and he's like, "What are you up to this weekend?" I'm like, "Not too much." And he's like, "I'll fly out and see you." So you got some insane like ticket prices from Seattle to Boston, and I picked you up, and I was totally cocked when I picked you up, and that doesn't even sum up the rest how the night went. But
yeah,
after you picked like $200, some stupid figure like $200. You flew round trip or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it was like $300, I think, altogether after tax and the man with the rubber glove.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's right. But EVH Con was up too, so we went to EVH Con together. That was great. And yeah, we had a great time. And yeah, from the moment I picked him up in the airport to the moment we got back to my place and then brought him down here to the guitar museum and all that, and he saw all this stuff. It was just like it was a blast. It was great hanging out with him, and we had some fun that night. And when I pulled my butt off the bathroom floor at 4 a.m. and then made it way up to my bed, I was like, yeah, that was a good night.
I had to scoop his ass out of there with the snow shovel.
Yeah.
But I just want to give a shout out to Rob. I would say we're probably going on 3 years. I had a question and I was trying to rack my brain today on what the question was. I was building this 5150 and I had an oddball technical question, and I reached out to Johnny Bean. I'm like, hey, can you give me Rob's email address? I want to get a hold of him. And he's like, oh, here's his phone number. He'll answer you. So I text Rob, immediately answers the question that I had. And then we start chatting, and then we get on a couple phone calls and FaceTime. And then I think I might have done a show on Johnny Bean's channel with him, and immediately like we hit it off. And I just want to say Rob probably gets, I don't know, 20 to 50 like random guitar questions a week from.
Oh, I thought you were going to say women. I thought you were going to say women.
No, we know you don't get that many from women, but
not anymore. Not anymore. I don't. But.
Right, exactly. You're a changed man, but you probably get questions all the time. And dude, you were so nice, and you know, most people could have been like, who the hell is this guy? Screw him. I don't got time for him. But Rob was super nice. We hit it off, I think, because you know, you didn't delete my number.
Well, we were tight when you came out. We were tight. I mean, not that tight, but we were tight.
Yeah, you were loose. But it was crazy meeting him for the first time. It's like, seriously, I've known him for 15 years, and we've stayed close since. And it's crazy how this crazy large internet world can bring people together in a cool way. Sometimes it can go south, but Rob, I just want to say I appreciate your friendship, and you didn't know me from Adam, and you could have told me to F off, and you didn't. And yeah, man, I appreciate you.
Well, in all seriousness, it was great. It was great hanging out with you too, Kurt, and it was great meeting you and developing a friendship before we even met. But one of the reasons why I have been doing this guitar stuff, along with all the other stuff I like to do, for so many years, for well over 25 years now, and then these shows and stuff, which I'll give all the credit to Johnny, because Johnny and Dave Nesdahl, rest in peace, buddy. Yeah. They were the ones that started me doing this and invited me on their show. And then it went to Jay, came on after I left, because, you know, my life and job and stuff was crazy, and just carried on, and it turned into this, and it's just been so much fun. And it's so much fun sharing all this stuff. I mean, I'm going to give a shout out to her in a second, but Jess, my lady, she, we're always kind of laughing because my phone's going off, you know, with Messenger and this and that, people asking guitar questions and stuff like that. And it's just fun helping people, and it's great. You know, I mean, back when I started in the mid 90s doing this stuff, you didn't have, I mean, the internet was kind of new at that time, and you kind of had to search in all these magazines. You had to look through magazines when you're painting these guitars. And now everything is just like boom, 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 boom. It's right there. And it's fun to do it, but it's also fun to help people and to kind of share that knowledge. And I'm still learning stuff, you know, I really am. I'm still learning stuff about this. And it's almost like every other week a picture will come out or something, you know, we're like, whoa, that's what that looks like. Or I didn't know that. And then it kind of spawns something else, but it was definitely really fun, meeting Kurt and developing a new friend. And we definitely have to come out and see you. I would love to get out there. I've actually never been to Seattle. I've been to the West Coast a bunch of times and all over the country, but I've never been to Washington State. And yeah, we got to go out and have a good time.
Yeah, man. For sure. You and Jess should come out to Seattle, and Steph and I could hang out with you guys for the weekend, kind of go show you the sights in Seattle, and maybe depending on how long you're here, come down to where I live. And
I mean, maybe I can pick you up off the bathroom floor in the morning with a spatula, you know? Like you did me.
Spray it down with some spray butter first.
All right. Oh gosh, that was awful. We had to drive. We had to go pick up Jimmy Carr. We came here, Jimmy Carr. I don't know if he's watching. He's probably going to jump in. and we all went down to we went down to Greenwich, Connecticut, and then like halfway through the drive, my head finally stopped pounding, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm good. And of course, as soon as we got there, we're just like hitting them again.
Yeah.
We are not
Jimmy,
alcoholics, by the way. We are not alcoholics.
nope. We were just doing it for research and development.
We just want to, we just want to be alcoholics. But,
And Jimmy, he wasn't with us on Friday night. So when he showed up on Saturday, Rob and I were like a couple sloths on the couch, just like full crap. Right. And
and I always say this, rehab is for quitters, Anyways.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, man, that was a good time for sure.
Yeah, it was. Hey, why don't we go through and just see who's here? And first, before we go through, I just want to give a shout out to 3 people. Starting first with, well, first off, I'm just going to say over the last 8 years of people watching me and what I do and the stuff that I enjoy and whatever. I'm happy to say that my lady and I just hit 9 months of being together. I know, right? That's a freaking record for me in the last 8 years. And I just met the most, and I'm going to say this on, it's all recorded. I don't know how many people are watching this, but I met the most amazing woman, and she has definitely changed me. And in all seriousness, I've never loved anyone as much as I love her. And Jessie is, she's an amazing person, and I'm just so lucky to have her. And I'm going to pull up a picture right here of that's her, and she's given a shout out to Everybody Wants Some, the Van Halen tribute band in Massachusetts. And
Shreddy.
Joe Girard, the lead guitar player, who's a really good friend of mine, is the guitarist for that band. And we were going to go out and see him last weekend, but we didn't make it because there was a big snowstorm here, so we couldn't make it. But Joe, we're coming out your way soon. I'm sure Joe's watching this. But she is just an amazing person. And we went to LA back a few weeks ago. That's in the Hard Rock Cafe when we got there. And we went and saw the Neptune guitar. And I'm not going to bore you guys with a bunch of pictures, but it was a great time. She had some friends out there and vice versa. But it was fun. Yeah, she's a great person. And then there are 2 little people, tiny humans that I know are watching me right now and probably wish that I was up there. But Jess's kids, Grayson and Darby, are 2 amazing little kids. And as time goes on, they feel like they're mine. And I know they're not. I'm not their dad, but I am someone who really loves these 2 little guys. And this is us on Christmas morning. And Darby had her little baby that I got her, or Santa got her. And then Grayson got his first BB gun, his Red Ryder.
Oh, inspired by Rob Johnson.
Huh?
Inspired by Rob Johnson.
Yeah, right. Firearms, right? But so they are 2 wonderful little kiddos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. And I want to say one thing. I'm going to take the picture down now, but listen to your mom. I don't want to hear any issues of you guys not going to bed in a little while. So I'm watching you. But those are 3 people that are in my life that I'm just so happy that came into my life. And both of my kids and my family and my friends really have taken a huge liking to her. And I'm very lucky. So,
yeah. And Rob, you're a good role model for those kids. Both your kids have grown up. Your daughter's, how old is she now?
18.
18, right?
Yeah,
Same age as my daughter. And they're pretty much already grown up, right? And you've done a good job with those guys. So that just tells me that these 2 kids are in good hands if you're around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky to have them, and I'm very lucky to have these 3, and it's definitely an honor, and I'm glad I was part of that. But
yeah, and
anyway,
he says, "Does this mean there's going to be a huge guitar sale soon?" No.
I thought he was going to say, "Does this mean there's going to be a wedding soon?" And I was like, no. Actually, she very much supports what I do, from the martial arts stuff to the firearm stuff to the guitar stuff. I don't know how that's going to be in 5-10 years or whatever, but we've already decided that the downstairs room, because I'm eventually going to have to move out of this condo probably pretty soon, because it is, it's not conducive to, 4 people. But when that happens, we have a place already picked out. That's going to be, the whole basement is going to be my dojo, the man cave, and the guitar museum. So that is not going anywhere.
Can I go down to the basement? Don't touch it.
I was at 6 there. You don't want to see me go to 10. But anyway,
yeah.
Why don't we? Kurt, how is Steve doing? Your son?
Steven's doing great. Just got done getting his haircut. Man, he's 24 years old now.
Wow.
He's doing good. And of course, my kids are growing up. My youngest daughter is a senior in high school, and my oldest daughter's moved out and living with a 7-year boyfriend just down the road. They live close enough that I can hit him with a long range rifle. So, I feel.
Is it a Barrett? Is it a Barrett? Yeah.
No, I wish.
Just cut him right in half if he fucks up. No?
Right, exactly. Connor Hayes says, "Do you guys make EVH guitars?" That's a broad question. Not EVH guitars, but how about Eddie Van Halen inspired guitars? Right?
Which we are going to talk about today.
Yeah. We're just catching up. I haven't talked to Rob in 6 months, so you guys are seeing virtual love fest.
It's been a minute. You're gonna have to just deal with us jerking each other off for a few minutes, and then once we're done with that, and we've had a cigarette, then we'll start talking about guitar stuff. But
thank God these cameras are from the waist up.
Oh gosh. Anyways, I just want to say one quick thing. Kurt's son Steve. I've never met him. I hope to one day, and I hope Jess will meet him. But he is just such a sweetheart of a kid. He's always checking out my stuff on Instagram and social media and liking things and pictures, and he's got the coolest stuff to say. He's such an awesome kid. And Kurt, you're very lucky. You and Steph are very lucky to have him, as well as your daughters too. But he's such a sweetheart, and he's a Seattle Seahawks fan, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah. I mean, I'm a Patriots fan myself, but we'll leave that one alone. But
I know every time something happens with the Patriots, he always asks about Rob. Does Rob know this? Or is Rob watching the game? Seriously, he's all over it.
Yeah.
So,
but anyways, let's go through and just say hi to who's in here. So we got Dennis Ellis. What's going on?
Hey,
David Share, Cobra Kai. Fairfield Guitar. Who the hell is that? No. Lewis, how you doing?
You know who that is?
Lewis. Lewis is another one that him and I had an amazing meeting. He reached out to me, and Lewis and I did a show together maybe 6 months ago, and he reached out to me because he was developing these straps and he had some questions, and it was another one of those, who the hell is this? Okay, whatever, and we started talking, and it became a great friend. And he's just got some amazing stuff. And I love seeing the stuff that he puts out. Not only I have all of his straps, I pretty much upgraded all my straps, other than the official PV and EVH stuff, to all of his straps, and for my collection. And I'm honored to say that they're on my wall. So
attention to detail is incredible.
Yeah.
And I got to meet him back in November. He came to Seattle for a business trip, and I was up there for a business trip, and that's when he got that Ripley, which was cool.
Yes.
And we went and had drinks and went to dinner, and he's a great guy. I consider him a friend.
Yeah. He just reached out to me yesterday, and he's like, "Hey, Rob, when are we getting together?" I'm like, "Yeah, definitely going to get together." He's only like an hour and a half away from me. He's not far, but he wants to show me that Ripley, and I'm dying to see it because I would love to check that out. But he's a great guy. Cobra Kai, Ben, what's going on? Robert Ranford, the dude, what's up? How you doing? 5150 Fair Warning, Andy Carson, Majestic PB&J, PFD, PF Darkside, a lot of new names that I haven't seen, so I'm glad you guys are checking out my show. Steve-O, Keith Campbell, what's up, Keith? Keith is a really cool guy. He's a 5150 aficionado like I am. I mean, and Keith and I are always kind of responding to stuff on Facebook on the 5150 Kramer page, and just a great page. And of course, that's my favorite Van Halen guitar, and I can honestly say that's probably the best replica I have. just because I put so much work into it. It's been a constant project, but
Right.
Keith's a great guy, and I still learn stuff from Keith too. Andy Carson, CHS Custom Guitars. Craig, what's up, Craig? I'm going to show one of Craig's guitar. Well, one of my guitars that Craig refinished, one of my Music Men in a little while. Craig and his awesome son, CJ, came down to visit Jess and I last weekend. And Craig went through and we did some mods to my PV5152 120 watt head and hooked that up and dialed it in on my wet, dry, wet. And it just sounds fucking incredible. Better than any rig I've ever had. And we'll get into that after. But Craig's a great guy. He does great work. He's an amazing friend. And yeah, he retopped my Amber Music Man.
Such a great.
Yeah. Who else?
Oh,
we
you
got
here? Howie Felter Snatch is here.
Felter Snatch. Sounds like my name. Is that like felt, like rug carpet felt, or like smooth? Never mind. I'm not gonna get
you ever ask a girl, hey, are those pants felt? She says no, and they are now. Lenny Lou is here as well. What's up, Lenny?
Wayno. What's up, Wayno? Oh, we got a bunch of people. Fruitcake Tony's here. Of course you are, Fruitcake. What's going on? How are you?
Hey,
Glad
Tony.
you're feeling better too, buddy. Glad you're feeling better.
I like the new guitar room you put together. It's looking good, bud.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I liked that on Facebook the other day. Rando, Stephen Franklin, Clayton James Hicks. What's up, Clayton? How are you, my friend? I always love your stuff too. R2R3, Dino Smith, Jordan Perkins. What's up, Jordan? How are you? Just anybody? Riley McMaster. Bend Over is here. Bend Over. How are you, Ben? I'm kidding. Hey, did you ever see the movie Fletch?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the movie Fletch with Chevy Chase, where he's in jail?
Oh, yeah.
Big dude
Yeah.
stomps up and he's like, bend over. Nice to meet you, Ben.
Rick Hauser-Bush is
Connor
here too.
Hay. Who?
Rick Hauser-Bush.
Who? Oh, Rick Hauser-Bush. Mr. Mick is here. Lenny Lou. Ivan Yurkinoff is here. Ivan Yurkinoff. How are you, Ivan?
Oh, Rob. Majestic
Amanda
TV.
Love. Amanda Love.
Amanda Love.
A man to love is here. Mr. Mick, how are you? Man, the list's going on and on and on and on. Who else we got here? I think that's it.
Riley McCaster wants to see the 5150 neck. We'll get to that here in a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. But first off, just want to say again, everybody that's watching that have seen my show before, if you get on my channel, you can see a whole bunch of videos I've done over the last number of years. And thank you for jumping on. I know it's been a while. I get a lot of messages. Hey, Rob, when you do another show, and I just got one today. They want to see a show on the Shark guitar and the new, the Bumblebee, and just like some history stuff. So hang tight, guys. I am going to be doing shows on the history of these guitars. And I'll be really serious about it, and we'll get on. We'll talk about all the specs and stuff. Tonight was just kind of Kurt and I get on, just jaw jacking a little bit and catching up and doing some guitar stuff. But I promise you, hang tight. I know you guys want to see a lot of this stuff, and I got a whole bunch of new stuff to show you and some neat stuff, and we can get into the details on it. Atomic Punk, what's going on? How are you?
Yeah, Rob, your 5150, I guess, breakdown video. That's the first time I ever saw your stuff.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny because my 5150 video has, gosh, I don't know how many thousands of views it has. And that seems to be the one that most people pick up on and talk to me about. The thing is, I want to do an updated version because there's new information on it. And I have some other some stuff that I said back then I thought, and I was a little bit off. I think for the most part, everything's right, I believe. But there's some more stuff that I want to talk about, and I am going to be doing an update just specifically on that particular guitar pretty soon.
Yeah, and listen, people, we're not experts, and I know Rob won't even say that he's an expert.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
In public, you won't admit that you're an expert, but everything I know, and I'm sure everything Rob knows, there may be a few things that Rob knows that are facts, but it's all stuff we've read, seen, heard. Everyone has an opinion. Not to talk shit about social media, but Rob and I were actually talking about this earlier today, but people will get in and just like hound and on the comments and back and forth. And we're not experts. We're just sharing information that we know and things we've heard. Barney!
Barney's here. Yeah.
What's up, Barney?
If you guys look
Barney?
at the thumbnail, you'll see there's a little hidden character up in the top screen. But
Yeah.
no, Kurt brings up a good point. We're not experts. I mean, I am honored to have the knowledge that I have on this stuff, and I give it all to the people that taught me and still teach me today. Guys like good friends of mine, Scott Smith, who I was just talking to a couple of days ago. Him and I got a chance to catch up, and Jerry Leica and all the old school dudes that taught me how to do all this stuff. You know, I'm still learning things, and if I can help people out, that's great. But I never claim to be an expert. I just claim to be a fan, and I enjoyed it. I'm a hobbyist at this stuff. Yeah, I play guitar, and I enjoy that too. But I just love learning about it, and I love helping other people. And you know, I try to be very humble about what I say. There are some things that I feel very passionately about that I do feel that I'm right on. But it's the whole thing of this is just fun. We do this because it's fun. That's why it bothers me when a lot of the YouTube shows and the social media stuff, people just get on each other's nerves, and they hate each other. And this, it's like, gosh, guys, we're not making money off this. We're not working for EVH or Kramer or whatever. You know, it's like we're doing this because we enjoy it. Let's have fun. Once it starts to get to be like adversarial and combative, I'm out. I back off, and it's like, okay, whatever. Because that's not why I do it. You know, I have enough of that in my, I have enough of that in my past personal life, and also, you know, careers and stuff like that. You know, it's like 25 years in law enforcement basically that's enough adversarial stuff, egoed out stuff for me. So this kind of thing, I just love to have fun with it, you know, and it's a good time. Desiree, what's going on? Desiree and I were just talking the other night, and Des, I don't know if you caught it, but we gave Dave a shout out a few minutes ago. David Nesdahl, one of my best friends who I know was still up there looking down and smiling and part of our lives. I miss him every day, but thanks for jumping in, Des. And who just jumped in a minute ago? I missed Kevin, what's going on? Boner Jams. That's who it was. What's going on? Boner Jams. Look at these sexy mother effers. Kurt, he likes you.
No, he's referencing you. I've already heard from him. I'm not sexy.
Yeah. Ask Jess. Do me a favor. Ask Jess what the bulge means.
The bulge?
Your hearts don't stand a fucking chance. Step back and take a look at the bulge here.
The bulge.
That's an inside joke. I'll tell you about it later. But anyways. Oh, and it says that Jess's dad, Brian, is
go
watching.
ahead.
So, hey, Brian, how are you? My future father-in-law.
Wow, you've heard it live here, folks.
It's not the alcohol speaking.
One thing about Rob is he knows a lot of the facts about the technical pieces of this gear, like the tuners and the paint color and the trim, the bridge, the neck plate and the serial numbers, the stuff that like he's seen concrete evidence on. That's what I appreciate about him is some of the stuff that a lot of people may not care about, because there's a lot of things on these guitars that's all like people are guessing or they think it's something. Most of the knowledge that Rob has is like concrete knowledge, you know, double tab Schaller tuners and you know, non-fine tuner Floyd, those type of things. Rob, you got it nailed, you know.
Well, I mean, you know, the thing is a lot of that stuff that we had questions on for all those years, pictures come out, and a lot of these new magazines, these young guitar magazines and the player magazines, and you know, those types of things, they show these details, and you can see that the Circles guitar has Schaller double tabs. You can see that the Bumblebee had, Schaller double tabs. You can see all that stuff. I mean, Kurt and I were just talking today. I told him, I said, reach out to Mike McGuire and get one of those oversized pickup rings for your Bumblebee guitar. And it's all just kind of geeky stuff. But, you know, like Scott and I were joking the other day, it's like, that's what makes this stuff fun. And Dave Nesdahl and I, we used to talk about that all the time. It's like, that's what makes it fun. You're constantly learning, you're constantly tweaking and messing around with stuff. And, whoa, I didn't know this was this. And, you just it's fun. It's what keeps the spirit alive. I mean, Eddie's gone. He died a couple years ago, but his music lives on, and people that are into the passion stuff with the guitars and building these things and collecting all this stuff, whatever, it's like, that's what makes it fun, and hopefully the live stuff that's going to come out, and the audio, and, hopefully videos and stuff like that. I mean, I'm hoping a lot of that stuff continues to kind of circulate out, but I mean, it's all about having fun,
So Mr. Mix says, Rob and Kurt, would you ever do a how-to relic show or shows? I'd like to know how and what tools used to get your relicing to look that good. So I've reliced 2 guitars, which is this one and this one. Sorry, I'm backwards. I wouldn't say I'm an expert at it. In fact, I'm building another 5150 that's going to be heavily relic like Rob's, and I have a few questions. I know Rob in the last few builds he's done, he's had people do the paint jobs because he's hung up his let's call it his painter's mask, right?
Right.
But there's a ton of different tips when it comes to relicing. I just bought an X-Acto set from Harbor Freight that has like the rounded X-Acto knife. That's a great one to have. And also 3M makes a industrial Scotch-Brite pad that works really well for getting you wear marks instead of using like sandpaper. But
yeah, I mean, and that's, this 5150, it's a Chris Lock body and a Chris Lock neck. Donnie Ward did the mod on it and everything. And, Chris Hubbard painted it and reliced it. And all the hardware and everything, it's taken a long time to acquire. I mean, that is an original Hanson Metalworks FRT5 whale tail, which took me forever to find. I have some of McGuire's ones on my other guitars, and those are just as good and just as believable as this one. But this is the original, which this guitar had to have it. But I mean, it's, it's basic Duplicolour paint. It's Chevy Orange Red, which is almost an exact match to Sunset Orange, Wimbledon White, and Universal Black, and all of the, if you can see it, all of the scuffing and the wear marks and the grain and all, I mean, everything. It's all X-Acto knife, and it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of just, looking at pictures and just having fun with it, and, and just messing around with things. And of course, I mean, I'm lucky. I have some pictures that, are really hard. Most people don't, but which I can't share, unfortunately. But they did help me in aiding to building this guitar. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But Scotch-Brite and an X-Acto knife are your friends. They really are. If you really want to get that crazy about these things, and I'm going to give Chris Lock a shout out for his bodies and his necks. And there's other companies out there that I've used. Obviously, Music Craft is top notch. Randy Butala is great. And I'm not slamming anybody. I'm just saying what I used. But the Chris Lock and Lock Custom Guitars, and is what I chose. And we have Mike McGuire from Period Correct Guitar Parts now, and he's doing these whale tails. He's doing the tuners. He's doing pickup rings and just steel blocks and just all kinds of stuff that you just couldn't find. Neck plates, exact neck plates, you would stamp with whatever serial number you want. You couldn't find that stuff before, unless you just happened to come across that on eBay or something like that, or Reverb. So we live in a time right now where pretty much anything you want is right at your fingertips. You just have to search for it a little bit, and just have fun with it. Yeah, totally.
Double tab tuner, vintage string tree, knob.
I like knobs. I like knobs.
Yellow ground wire. He's got everything.
Kurt, I like knobs.
I actually painted that. I sent you a video of this, Rob, right? The eye hooks.
Yes. Yep.
I did Flex Seal. is what I used on it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they make like
check
I
out
used
period guitars.
I used Plasti Dip is what I used on mine, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and Lewis says impatience. Yes, a lot of that, which unfortunately I don't have much of.
So
But-
Rob, I'm building another 5150. When was the last time you bought a can of Duplicolor?
Actually, I bought a can to do a little work on my Blueberry Frankenstrat, which Nick painted. I want to do a little bit of work up here. So this was the last one that I did, and I'll show this guitar in a little bit. But
Dude,
this is one of my
$16 for the little can of Duplicolor.
huh?
$16 for a can of Duplicolor.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just shy of $20. When you go,
$8.99.
yeah, it's crazy.
I couldn't believe it.
Yep. Howie, how you doing? Howie says I got some knob down at the old titter. you go, Howie. Let me know when you're there. I'll come down and meet you.
J7
Not because I want it. Jay, what's going on? Jay,
He
do me a
said-
favor. Please say hi to Ellie for me.
And Killian. Killian's birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday, Killian. That's great.
Jay asked if we wanted to relic his nutsack. It's already relic, Jay. We don't need to do any more relicking. It's as old as they get.
Crusty old man. Yeah, Jay, I think you're good in the nutsack relicking department. But oh gosh.
So what'd you do on that car? You did some touch up. What'd you do on it?
Well, well, first off, I don't know if Chad Wall is in the. I haven't seen him yet, but if he jumps in, this is a guitar that I've wanted for so long, and I have, my original Frankie, which John Marks did, and it's freaking the best one I've ever had in my life. But I've always noticed Chad Wall had this. You call it Blueberry, like Captain Crunch, or whatever the cereal that is.
Balsenberry.
And I was always like, whoa, that is so cool. I'm like, this is just amazing. I love this. It kind of reminded me of Wolfgang's Blue Bass. But at the same time, I'm getting, now that I have pretty much anything I could possibly want, I'm kind of tripping out on these types of guitars, these, like Craig did this one for me, the green metallic 5150, Craig did this one. And I'm kind of tripping out on a lot of those types of styles now, just because they're different. They're cool. So I stayed on Chad's ass for like, gosh, not up his ass, but on his ass for weird. It's just, that's a little weird. For probably like almost a year and a half. I'm like, dude, let me know when you sell it. He's like, Rob, it's not going anywhere. I'm like, yeah, bullshit. You're going to sell it. I know you are. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I'm like, yeah, So finally, I think it was, oh gosh, 3-4 months ago, I get this text one day. Hey, you still want that blue Frankie? I'm like, how much? And we did a deal, and I got it. And it's just great. Nick Amendolara painted it and did an amazing job. And it's about as exact any Frankenstrat as you can get. And it had the hockey stick Tom Anderson style neck on it,
which I love.
And what I like is on the back, it's got the right prism, proper reflectors and all that, but there's silver and blue, and it's got red paint on the bottom instead of blue.
Genius.
Yeah, it's freaking great. So what I did is I got a Mike McGuire steel block. Pulled off the aluminum crap spring plates underneath the Floyd because I like a nice smooth, tight, resonant feel of the bass on the wood, and put a D-tuner on it. And had a little bit of extra relicking here, which was a little bit more than I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and matched the paint, and I just taped everything off, and I just kind of and fogged it. So I let the paint rise, so it didn't look like it was a deliberate line.
Yeah.
So little tricks I've learned over the years, and it came out perfect. And this guitar literally has been my most amazing player. I've been playing this thing just. Anytime I pick up a guitar, other than last week when I got my Music Man back from Craig, this thing is just phenomenal. I love it. It feels amazing. Huh?
Is that a lock body? Sorry. Don't know.
It's a lock body and a music craft neck. Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a lock body, music craft neck. And you know, it's exact to the real Frankie. It's just it's just blue, which I think is just so freaking badass, you know. Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's great, you know. And it's legit my favorite player right now. It's amazing.
What's crazy Bob, is Eddie really didn't play any blue guitars. He had the did he have a music band? I don't think he ever played any blue guitars like on stage.
Well, right. Well, he had blue music bands, but he never played them on stage.
Yeah.
I think let's see, I think, what am I missing here? Well, the only blue that he really had was the multi-tape Kramer, which was a purple body with, you know, with white, orange, yellow, and blue electrical tape. That was pretty much the closest, as far as we know, that he came to blue.
Crazy.
You know, yeah. But yeah, it's kind of cool. He never did really play guitars.
Circles is the other one. Is the only one that he played that was blue.
Well, yeah, and that we get jumped down that rabbit hole. My Circles guitar is midnight blue, and I love it that way. But we can jump down that later. But Kurt, you actually have something to talk about with that guitar, don't you?
Yeah. You want to get into it?
I mean, let's get into it. Let's just see if anybody's got any questions before we go on here.
Yeah, as you're looking, I'll he
Desiree
did
says-
have the heavy metal guitar, which had the blue headstock.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true. And the story on that is Eddie liked it, and Dennis Berardi hated it.
Oh, okay.
And I'll actually, since you just mentioned that real quick, I'll show it. This is a guitar that I painted myself 4 years ago, and it plays amazing. It's the heavy metal blue headstock Frankie. They call it the heavy metal because there's a famous picture of this guitar back in the 80s with a set of heavy metal guitar strings on it. So they called it the heavy metal guitar. But it's also called the blue headstock Frankie, which is, this is what it looks like. I have pictures of the original one that Cody Barra owned. He owned the original one, and Scott Smith had it for a little while too. So I was able to get, you know, pictures of the back and everything. And this is basically what the back looks like.
Did it have reflectors on it?
Yep, had these big ones on it. And Eddie signed it, and I replicated that signature as best I could. And I thought it came out, I really did. I think it came out pretty good. The pickup cavity was really like, just looked like somebody with a butter knife did it. So I tried to replicate that with my Dremel, because this is a real Kramer Focus, not a Focus, Deluxe, Pacer Deluxe body.
Okay.
And that's heavy as hell. I think it's maple. So I did the mod on that. But yeah, this is the blue headstock, Frankie. But the Paul Unkert told me that, and he said it before, that when he painted this guitar back in '82, you know, they were doing all those Frankie style bodies before George Felice started doing the 5150 style bodies. And just one day they had this blue paints hanging around. So he was like, oh, he's like, I'll just do a blue headstock. And he did it. And Eddie came in and looked at it, and he loved it. And for whatever reason, Dennis Berardi hated it, because Dennis was trying, from what I understand, Dennis was, this is what Eddie wants. Don't deviate from that. You know, we want a red guitar with white stripes with just a few black stripes, not too overdone. So when he did the blue, Dennis was like, nope, 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 nope. But I guess Eddie liked it. So somehow this guitar got assembled. I don't know if it ever made it into Ed's hands as far as playing it. I know he did see it, so I'm sure he messed around with it. But I think it pretty much went directly to like a giveaway type guitar. And I mean, Ed could have had it for a period of time, but I'm not sure. But I do know he did see it, and it turned into one of his, you know, one of his Frankie style guitars that was painted by Paul. And yeah, it's just got kind of a cool story on it. And yeah, that's probably the only blue that I'm aware of.
You want to show this picture I got up here? It's really blurry. I think it's a photo of a photo of a photo. Have you seen this before?
Yes. Yep. I have that picture. Yep.
So
Yep, go
There's
ahead.
the heavy metal neck. And then Rob, I think, as he's going away, he'll come back.
No, I'm
I
right
think,
here. I got you.
I think this one on the right is the Vetus Gerolitis guitar. It's really hard to tell because
Oh, the penis gentilitis?
Yeah, the Gentilitis. Is that it?
Penis gentilitis?
The stripes tell me it is.
It looks like it is. Yeah.
It doesn't have the Kramer decal. Are you going to go grab it? It doesn't have the Kramer decal on the headstock yet.
Yeah.
And then the one on the left, everyone in the chat, I've never seen before. To me, it looks like Frankie Body because it has the neck pickup and the routes, but it doesn't have a trim yet. Doesn't have
it
a
looks like it's before a pick guard. Yeah, no pickup, no pick guard.
Yeah. And I tried matching it with all because there's like 5 of those guitars that have the Frankie look cut pick guard.
Yeah.
And none of them match that stripe pattern.
Yeah, I'm looking at, it's not the only, that could be the auction guitar, the Vetus sister guitar with
The
all
auction guitars like Sunset Orange.
Yeah, but it's so hard to tell with those kind of pictures. I mean, the way the lighting was back in the early 80s.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
it's so
auction guitar did have a zebra pickup.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to tell. I don't think that is the auction guitar. I'm actually looking at my version on the, no, that's not, because I have a life-size auction guitar on the wall that I had blown up. No, that's not it. But I will say they did so many of those back in those days.
Yeah.
They were just cranking them out, and so many of them went into private hands. But this is the Vetus, well, not the original, obviously, but this is the Vetus guitar replica that was done by Nick. And I got this from Dave Nesdahl, my good buddy. We did a trade or something. I mean, Dave and I were always conniving guitars and whatever. Back probably about five years ago. It had the 6 bolts in the headstock, in the neck plate, exterior 6 bolts. And it was a great guitar. Interesting story about this particular guitar. When Nick painted it, I think I want to say Dave brought it down to Paul to have him do something to it, and I think it was with the neck plate because he wanted to have it set right. And Paul actually put this input jack plate on this guitar. It's a gold one because that's what the real one was. And Paul told Dave that this was a leftover jack plate from the Eddie days, and this was destined to go on one of Eddie's guitars back then. So it wasn't on one of Eddie's guitars, but it was one of the ones that was on standby to go on one of it.
Next in line.
Yeah, so kind of a cool story that it was hanging around the Kramer factory and was going to be going on, because back in those days when they were building these Kramer guitars for Ed, and my girlfriend Jessie got a chance to see the real one. She got to see the Neptune Kramer, which is my favorite Frankie style Kramer. She got a chance to see the real one, which, she's looking at it like, oh, cool, great. Can I have a White Claw, please? But I mean, no, I'm not slamming her, but she got to see the real one, and she would sit here and say, wow, how primitive it is. This just looks like a child painted the thing. This is, it's just nasty looking, and try to replicate that is the interesting thing. But they just used whatever they had. If they had sunset orange, red paint hanging around, great, we used it. If we had flame red color paint, we used it. If we had chrome hardware, we used it. If we had gold, we used it. If we had, gold tuners, we used them. Whatever logo they had.
Numbers were just in a drawer.
Yeah, the neck plate numbers. This is a real Kramer neck plate, but whatever they had, I mean, it was just, as Paul's exact words were, higgly piggly. Whatever we had, we just grabbed.
Willy nilly.
Willy nilly, yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd I get higgly piggly?
I don't know. You got pigs on your mind, Chris.
Not anymore. That was a while ago.
He's in here, and he said that the guitar on the left looks close to the Kramer Body he has. Chris, have you seen this photo before? If you haven't, I'll send it to you.
You want me to put it back up?
Sure.
Hold on, I'll put it back up. Hold on.
Have you seen his? Have you seen that Kramer Body he has?
Yes, yes. He
Yeah.
reached out to me back months ago when he first got it, and I thought it was really cool. And I never got a chance to see Chris. I think he went to the EVH con, and I didn't make it this year. I think I forget what was going on. I don't remember
You
if
had to work.
I had to work or my girlfriend and kids and I were in Maine. There was something going on. I think it was work, but I didn't get to make it. But yeah, that very
Oh,
well could be. That very well could be.
I'm saying the one on, it looks like the one on the right is his.
Yep. Steve-O says
Interesting.
everything has a price. He's right.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I'm interested to see this one. I know you sent me pictures when you got it done, but this is one of my favorites.
This is a guitar that I've always wanted to do. And, you know, I mean, I love the Hagar era of Van Halen's probably more than the Roth. I know. Yeah. I know that's sacrifice. And I love the Roth era. I love them all. But, you know, when I was in high school in 1986, you know, Hagar came, and that was the anthems of my high school years, you know, and like, so, I mean, while I love the Roth years, I think the only Roth, 1984, I was 11 years old. So when 1984 came out, yeah, Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher, you know, all those, yeah, they were amazing. And I loved them. But then all of a sudden 5150 comes down. It's like, whoa, you know, so that was like, you know, that's when I really started getting into it. But I remember when Diver Down came out and hearing it on the radio and thinking it was really cool. But from the Sammy Hagar era, I always thought this guitar was really cool. And I like what he did. He kind of did the, you know, the space tape thing with the numbers and, you know, the red hardware. So what I did was our good friend Joe Suma from Greenwich Guitars, I reached out to him maybe, I think it was like 5 months ago. And I said, hey, do you have any of those new Kramer Berettas? Because this was the closest thing, you know, to something you could do that project with. And he said, yeah, he said, I got one coming in. So he gave me a good deal on it. And I ended up getting one of his, when I went down to get it, I ended up also buying a 5150 iconic 1x12. So that's in my bedroom right now, which is a great little amp. That's a separate story. So I took this thing home and I just went to town. And what I did was I painted with Duplicolor. I painted the tuners and painted them red. Painted the nut and the string tree, retainer, I should say. Took the pickup out, painted the pickup, and I have a little trick I'll tell you guys. You know how you protect the poles? You take little tiny nails, framing nails, in the head of the nails. This is a magnet. Just put it on top of each pole, and they're magnetic. They stay right there, and then you can paint right over it. And yeah, totally. That's a little trick I found on my own. That's awesome.
Thank you, Rob.
That is so freaking cool. I love that's a guitar you got, right? When you and I were
I'll show it when you're done, but I use that same trick when I painted that.
It works perfect. You just put the nails upside down on the pole pieces and they're magnetic. They stay there and you paint right over and pull the nails right off. And I took the Floyd apart and I painted the Floyd, and took me a while to find the stickers, but Mike McGuire, specially from Period Correct Guitar Parts, special made these OU812 stickers for me because you can't find them anywhere. There you go.
Chad, he's in here. I'm making him a hat.
Oh, Chad is here. Chad, I just showed your guitar. I don't know if you caught this, buddy. We went through this whole guitar. It's my main player. I knew you were going to get your butt in here eventually.
Go back in the video if you want to hear us talk shit about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Chad, all your guitars suck ass. They all suck. Every one of them.
I'm making the Chad at one of these hats. He saw mine and Rob's, and he's like, "Oh, I got to get one."
So, I got to get one of those. Yeah. Oh, by the way, my hat collection is thanks to Kurt, by the way. Love you, Chad. But yeah, this was a fun guitar. It took me forever to find the stickers. But you know, just yeah, it's great, and it's a fun one. I really I like it, and it plays great.
And that's the Beretta, not the Beretta Special.
Right. Yep. So go ahead, Kurt. Why don't you show yours?
So when we went to EVH Con, we had both got the red and green Kramer 84, which this is a great guitar. And it was stock when we got it, obviously. But I was kicking around what to do with it. Rob was talking me talking to me about having Craig do a paint job on it, and I'm like, yeah, I got to do a paint job, but I got to take it apart, send it to him, have the guitar away for 6 to 9 months. So for right now, I just did a few mods, just to tinker with it, and when I'm ready to have Craig paint it, I'm probably going to have him do some sort of stripe job. So what I did is I put the blue locking nut bolts in there. Got the blue stars on the headstock. Painted the pickup blue. It's got a blue
Love
Wolfgang
that. That's great.
and blue FU tone upgrades. And then of course the FU tone stuff. And then Rob, I threw this sticker on the back here.
Oh, that's so cool. Where'd you get that sticker? I mean, they have those in California. We passed a bunch of those trucks.
Look striped. See that?
Yeah.
So anyway, great guitar. One of the things about these things, I love the neck on them. Great neck.
Oh, they're incredible.
Yeah.
This is the same exact guitar. Mine was
Yep.
green, and I have actually.
Brother and sister.
Yeah. Here's the day Kurt and I got them together.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I had it hanging on my wall because Kurt's my boyfriend.
There you go. That's a Christmas edition right there. Christmas
Yeah,
card.
it is. Yeah. This is two NAMs. NAMs. 2 EVH cons ago. Yep. Yeah, we got those guitars. That's Kurt's guitar, and this is that one. And
That's where the Step Brothers came from. Was from Joe Suma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
One of the best necks. So you're right, dude.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, they feel great.
Now, Craig, he sanded that thing all the way down to.
Yeah, so he had to sand it down because it's actually metallic. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually metallic. Can you see it? It's like metallic. The green is too. So it's silver and green metallic. Barney, shut up. These stickers are actually paper. They're green paper that I cut out myself, and he just clear coated over them.
Paper.
And I wanted, and he even put the logo on the back. It's kind of cool.
Oh,
I wanted a 5150, but I wanted a green silver metallic one. So it was totally my idea. And I proposed it to Craig, and he goes, whoa, that would be cool. So he sent me a couple of pictures. And what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I was like, that's it. So I brought the guitar down to him. We hung out one afternoon, left it with him. And a couple of months later, boom, he knocked it out for me. And it's just amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Rob routed out the pickup route. So he put a clear cover on there.
Yeah, he put a clear cover on it. And that's another one of Craig's things that he did, which is really cool. On a yellow ground wire. I routed the pickup cavity out a little bit, which I messed up.
5150.
Well, I tried to do that, but I messed it up, and Craig had to go in and repair it for me because I fucked it up. But
he used the sheetrock saw on it.
Yeah, basically, the bandsaw or whatever you want to call it.
Originally, it's got notched out for the legs.
Yeah, right.
Rob rounded it out. So hey, Robbie Stingle.
I like to round things out. Yeah, Robbie. Yeah, is Robbie Stingle in here?
He is.
Robbie, what's going on? Robbie, I haven't had a chance to catch any of your videos lately, but I'm dying to catch him. I love his stuff. I enjoy watching his stuff. And this is a guitar that Robbie would really get a kick out of. It's not real.
Real quick, Rob, before you get to that, what's the pickup in your 84 Kramer? Did you keep the JB and paint it, or did you put something else in there? Because it was striped zebra.
It was a striped zebra, which I painted black on my own. But when I gave it to Craig, we put a Pariah PS 86 in it.
Okay.
One of the newer ones. And I'll tell you that 84T original pickup is badass. It's
86.
amazing. I love it. And Craig kind of convinced me on the on the Pariah 86, just because Sean just came out with them, Sean Christopher, and we were just like, whoa, this thing is badass. And so I was like, screw it, we'll just put one of those in there.
That's what I have in this one.
Yeah. This one, I actually got off of Facebook. It's a Holy Grail replica, and it's about, you cannot freaking tell. This is not, I mean, it's like factory finish. Guy wanted $800 for it. I was like, whoa! It's a Musicraft body, Musicraft neck. It's the Holy Grail headstock shape. I mean, Gatto tuners. It's got the original Schaller Classic 50, I think, pickup in it, which I believe these had. And Robbie can correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure they were Schaller Classic 50s. And then they went to the Duncans after that. Original Floyd. I mean, it's basically about as exact as you can get. And again, this thing it's incredible. Plays great. But, for $800 to get a Holy Grail, replica, original Kramer, neck plate, I was like, geez, you can't turn this thing down. I mean, I could never afford an original Grail,
Yeah. And Steve-O 5150, who's in here, he's having one of those. I think he bought one and he's having it repainted.
Oh, really?
Now. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, there's so many different things you can do today with these guitars, and there's so many people out there. You're not limited to just GMW guitars or Ed Roman or whatever, and nothing against those folks. They're amazing. But now you got folks like Craig and, people that can pretty much do anything you want. You just give them an idea. I want this, boom, puts a package together for you, lets you look at it, done. And I mean, we never had that years ago. And it's just such a great, option to have. I mean, you have a Music Man, you have a PV Wolfgang, an EVH, whatever, any type of guitar. Lewis just had that. He scored that, that flame top green special, and Craig redid that. It looks exactly like mine. I mean, there's so many options you have.
It's for sale, so hit him up if you want it.
Yeah, those are very hard to find. I'm going to tell you, it took me a long time to find that green special. I mean, I have the sustainer in it, like Eddie's did, but the green flame top USA specials are hard to find. They really.
And his has the pound cakes in it, the Pariah pound cakes.
Yep.
And the Goto trim in it, which in my opinion is better than the PV, the Ping.
Yep.
So that thing's upgraded, ready to rock.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And watching the stuff that he does is incredible. That he puts out. That Ripley, I can't wait to see Lewis's Ripley.
Yeah.
R2R3 says, R2R3, did you want to see the green 5150 again, or did I show you enough of it? That was kind of a message he sent out a little while ago. If you want to see it again, just let me know.
And Robbie Stingle says the golden 50 must have been the pickup.
Smallmouth guy says, Rob, I can listen to you all day, brother. You're okay too, Kurt. You guys are awesome.
Rob doesn't let me talk.
What?
So Rob, I alluded to it earlier. Let me grab it real quick.
Go ahead. I'm just going through these messages, see if we got any questions.
Does this thing look familiar?
Oh yeah. Where'd you get that?
This young man over here, great guy he is, sent it to me. He knew I'd put it to good work, but I've been holding on to it for probably about 9 months.
Has it been that long? No. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, about 9 months. It's ready to go. I got the Goto tuners. I got the string tree, the retainer, and I actually did a little bit of work on the neck. I got it. This thing's like smooth as glass.
Nice.
It must have been gritted up from you playing it over the years.
I only had that neck for probably maybe 4 years, I think. But I'm going to tell you, Kurt, it does have some play time on it, but it's like brand new fret wise. So you got a whole lifetime out of that thing.
For sure.
That's a Randy Butala neck, and I'm going to tell you, it's awesome. It really is. And I think that's going to be a great addition to your new 5150. Yeah.
Everything's perfect on it. And I don't know if I showed you this, but I ordered my pickup, came the other day.
Nice. Which one did you get now?
The black, the regular, the old school black, but zebra.
Yep. Yeah, you're doing the updated version, right?
Yeah. So since I have the 86 in this one, I didn't want to put the same pickup in it.
Yeah.
So it'll work. And then I know I showed this the other day, but here's the Floyd.
Yeah. Yeah, and you did some really cool stuff on that, Kurt. I want to hear what you did. Well, I mean, I know what you did, but real quick, I'm just going to say my girlfriend keeps distracting me by sending me things. So,
You want to share screen?
if you keep doing that, I'm going to share a screen. That actually, I'm telling you, that will not stop her. She does not care. So,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So I got a vintage German Floyd, and Rob's busted my balls about getting a whale tail. I'm trying to do this as economical as possible, and there's a few things I can do later to upgrade it. But steel block from Michael McGuire, go check out Period Correct Guitars. He's got everything. The vintage bar with the nut and washer, which is great. I took off the shim and the fingers, the tension fingers, to make it look like a whale tail. Got the brass fine tuners on it, and in this one I actually put FU tone string screws and inserts, saddle inserts, but I did them in black so they look correct.
amazing.
Yeah,
Tell them how'd you get the fine tuners to look like that?
So I ordered brass fine tuners, and I don't know, have you guys ever tried taking these off? They're tapered, and so you gotta like get on them with a wrench, and sometimes you can like mess up the threads on the plate.
Right.
So instead of
Go ahead.
put new ones on, I just took sandpaper to the black, and underneath it's brass, and it actually looks kind of aged too, instead of having it brand new looking.
Now, a lot of people, Kurt's brought up a good point. They're tapered. They have a little nipple or knurl in them. So when you you get to the edge and you can't take them off. Now the whale tails didn't have that. You could just unscrew them all the way. So it's another thing that Schaller did when they started making the Floyd Roses. They put that little nipple on the end of it. And
you get them cold, and they really poke out.
But a lot of people will try to take them out. Yeah. Turkeys are done. Yeah. you get them to that end, and a lot of people, they're like, oh, you can't take them off. You can. You just got to kind of you can, if you have real strong fingers, you can pop it, or just take a wrench and you can pop it. Now, pop that cherry. But a lot of things, 9 times out of 10, I've done it to so many Floyds. You can put them back on. It's just that little knurl will not be there anymore. So you're gonna have, when you're adjusting it, just make sure you don't back it out. It'll come out. But you will not lose them. All Dave, all night. Oh, Dave, thank you so much. It doesn't matter what show I watch. When Rob is on, I always learn something new. Thank you so much.
Kurt is he's on the side burner.
Hey, Kurt, I always say it's not how good you do, it's how good you look doing it. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with bullshit. That's what I always say. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Thank you very much. Robbie, we ordered a special red ionized hardware from Schaller for Sammy guitars. Duncan used red bobbins, actually assembled line guitars I worked on. That's awesome. That is so freaking cool. Robbie, if you get a chance sometime, could you do a show on that, on the Sammy guitars? We've heard a lot about the 5150s and the Eddie guitar style stuff. If you get a chance sometime, I'd love to watch a show on your knowledge on the Sammy era guitars.
The late 87, 88, 89, right?
That would be awesome. I'd love to hear some of that stuff. I love those kind of stories because I always learn stuff. So, Desiree's out of here. Have a good night, Des.
Thanks for stopping in.
What else we got for questions, buddy?
Oh man, the chat's been rolling. And usually when I'm doing my show, I run the chat. So this has been weird for me not to mess with it.
Keith Campbell says Rob has a drop to hell. Actually, I don't, Keith. One of these days I'm going to get one. There's actually a couple of folks working on building those. I don't want to say too much because he might not be ready for me to say anything, but Stay tuned on the Drop the Hell bridges. There is some stuff in the works, and I'm talking to the gentleman right now. But there's a guy in Japan that actually has done them, and I've talked to that guy on Instagram. I haven't talked to him in a while. He actually did it, and if you get the Eddie Van Halen Guitar Man books, it actually has the dimensions and the specs and everything on that. I had a Burritos guitar, but it was a fake Drop the Hell bridge that I kind of modded to look like that. So it really wasn't legit. One of these days, I hope to have one. And if I can get the bridge, I'll do another one of those guitars and I'll put the real one on. But if you're going to play a song like As Is, you got to kind of just get the special tuning, which is in the tab book, and you can play it. And you just can't go up and you can't, do that mod on the low E like he did on his Drop the Hell.
Was that an arch top?
Yes. Yeah.
It
was an arch top. Yep. And I wish I hadn't sold that guitar. It was a real EVH special guitar that I had painted. And like I said, the bridge was just kind of a mock-up, it was a stop tailpiece type bridge. And I just, Gorilla glued some parts on it and painted it a little bit. It looked great. I mean, you couldn't even tell. I can't the comments I had on that thing. We're like, whoa, where'd you get that? And it was pretty neat, but
looked the part for sure.
Probably says, well, it was 86. Yeah, I could. There was a run of 5. Cool.
Wow. Yeah, I know the red one, the yellow one, and then he had one more, didn't he?
For his Sammy guitars?
Yeah.
He had a black one too. It had
Black
one. He had a black OU8121, and it had the the bogus Otis on it and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what else you got?
Your Ernie ball. You were going to show that.
Yeah, I'm going to give Craig a little bit of clout here.
What's up, Lewis? Oh, you got to hack the body up a little bit, huh? For those to fit.
Yeah, there's some mod you got to do to them, which is going to be a project. When they do come out with those bridges, there is going to be a little bit of routing that's going to need to be done to the bridge area to make that fit. It's possible to do. It's just, there is a little bit of routing, I guess. So this guitar, what's that?
Your baby.
Yeah, this is the best playing Music Man guitar I've ever had in my entire life. This is an Axis EX, which I got from Japan, and I've owned 4 or 5 original Eddie Van Halen signature models, and I've owned, 3 or 4 Axis EXs, and anybody I've talked a lot about the Axis EXs in the past, and we can get into another show at another time, but they're basically the real deal. They're no different other than 1 or 2 little things, but just assembled in Japan. But this guitar is probably the best playing Music Man I've ever had in my life, and it had a killer quilt top on it, and it still does.
Uh-huh.
So when I got this guitar, this particular one, and I've owned a couple of Amber original signature ones. I got this one because it was an EX, and what I liked about it, I wanted to do an Eddie mod on it, and Eddie's original Amber Baby #1. He's played flame top ones too. A lot of people get those confused, but the original Baby #1 Amber did not have a signature on the headstock because it was one of the kind of like a prototype, one of the first ones they came out with.
Right.
And I've talked about this before on other shows. It had a #1 right here on the body, had a #1 right here on the headstock. All the hardware was exactly what you see in the others. But when it was originally made, and there's a guitar for the Practicing Musician magazine from 1990, which shows Ed sitting there holding this guitar. And it was before the 5150 stickers, before he flopped the neck pickup. It had an original German-made Floyd on it at that time, not the Gatto Floyds that are stamped Music Man that they used, shortly thereafter and still used today on the Axis models. The reason they had that that bridge on there, the original German Floyd, was because they thought at the time that's what they were going to use. So the first,
real quick, Rob, have you seen the Ernie Ball video on YouTube where they go in the vault and they look at all the guitars. They have that white axis with the black hardware on it. That has
Dudley Gimple shows it, I think.
And it has the knife edge.
Yeah, I think it was either Dudley Gimple shows it or Sterling. I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, it's a great video. I'm glad you mentioned that, Kurt. There was a handful of those. Jerry Cantrell has another one, which was a gold one, which was stolen and then given back to him. That has a kind of a different route. It's routed out underneath the whole. They thought they were going to use the original German Floyds. So if you take a PV Wolfgang and you look at the route it has under the Floyd, that is kind of the same route that they were originally using on these Music Mans. And I have it done on this guitar. It's really hard to see, but it's just in the knife edge area, the front area of the bridge, because the original German Floyds, the knife edge of that, when you put the bar down, it's not slanted or beveled, so it would dig into the wood. So Music Man thought that they were going to use that little route like the PVs have. As it turned out, they went with a Gatto style, the Gatto bridges, which have a slanted bevel on that knife edge. So they didn't need it anymore. So they stopped putting the route in. So I think from what I heard from Music Man, there's only about maybe 15 or 20 that actually had that route. That number could be a little bit off, but I think it's 15 to 20 guitars. One of them was this one that Eddie had. And then they made the change to the Gatto bridges, so they didn't do it anymore because there was no need for it. And Eddie's also had the original wood screws with a flathead on them. And so I did that. And I had a professional guitar luthier do the route on this guitar. The problem is when he did the route, he went too far down here.
Oh, no.
And he went about a 16th of an inch too far. So it just looked, I just didn't like the look of it. So I dealt with it for about a year or so. Finally, I talked to Craig one day and I was like, hey, can you fill that in and, just kind of blend it? And Craig's like, I'll give it a shot. So he took it back. He tried to do it and it just didn't blend. So he's like, the only thing I can really do to it, Rob, is sand it down and redo the top. I'm like, okay, go for it. And he did. He sanded it all down, kept the quilt, didn't damage any of that, and then did his magic on it. And it's it's an amber honey finish, which will lighten up over time and match the headstock. And I love it. It came out great. He put a little piece of wood in there, and I know it's hard to see, but you can't tell. Now the route looks exactly how I want it. I had another set of the stickers. I put them on and put it back together. And again, I got my Music Man back again, and it plays incredible. It just feels amazing. These Music Man necks, to me, are the best necks of any Eddie Van Halen signature guitar. I love the Wolfgangs. I love the EVHs. But the Music Mans just have some kind of a magic to them, to me.
Do you have the hot dog route on that?
No, so that's one thing that I was just like, now I'm not going to do that just because it was just too much work. What he's talking about, what Kurt's talking about, is on Eddie's. They weren't sure if they were going to use a tone knob at the time,
right?
So they call it the hot dog route. It was a longer hot dog style route, so it could house a tone knob, and then they never did it. So they just kept it, and then when they did the production models, they just did this. And also this particular route is a little bit different too. It's a smaller route. Yeah.
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 I mean, I was actually I know. I was going to go that route, Kurt, but I was like, I just was too much,
Yeah. You'll probably do it eventually. I know you.
Well, I'm going to give you the hot dog eventually.
It's like putting a hot dog in a hallway.
Hot dog in a hallway. Right.
Yeah.
But
so Rob, we were talking earlier, not to change the subject, but we'll get into something a little bit different. Niels Lozauer was on, I think it was Fruitcake Tony's show. It's been a few weeks, I can't remember, but he was talking about Eddie's guitars, and he really didn't know a whole lot of details about the guitars. Obviously, he's a photographer, so the geeky stuff that we're into and that we hone in on, he probably doesn't know or remember. I mean, if
Yep.
I were to ask you what color sweatshirt you wore your junior year in high school on Friday, you probably wouldn't remember, right?
Well,
But
probably not. So
people like us, when we see photos or you see them live and you're passionate about it, that stuff's like ingrained in your brain. Well, he said that Eddie gave him a bare body guitar in the 80s, and I'm thinking it's 1980, and he painted it. He
Yeah.
painted it white and then gave it back to Eddie, and Eddie was going to do some striping on it. Well, he said in the podcast that he was on that he doesn't know if Eddie did anything with it. He didn't know if he, threw it away or whatever. But in that era in 80, he had 2 white guitars. He had the Rude and then the Circles that Rob's holding. Well, as my brain's working, I'm thinking in 1980, he did the Axe photo shoot in, was it Roth's basement where he did that?
I don't remember what the location was. I do remember reading about it, but I can't speculate. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I
I do
think it
know that the backdrop they had was like a red or a purple or something.
Yeah, and I have a picture here. We'll show it real quick. Here we go. You want to let me share? All right, you see it?
There it is.
All right, there it is. So I'm wondering, bare wood guitar, is this the one he gave him? And
So,
Rob
okay,
said that's
go
the
ahead.
Hog, but the Hog has a out of phase switch right here.
Mm-hmm.
The Hog is also a dark, like almost walnut looking guitar. It's like way darker than the neck.
Yep.
So I'm thinking with my weird brain, did Neil Zlozauer paint this guitar white and give it to Eddie and Rudy, or Eddie did the Circles or the Rude with it? Just a theory. I don't know. I don't have any other facts other than Neil said he painted a body for Eddie. It was bare wood and he painted it white.
So I think you look at the guitar right there in Kurt's picture, which we all know, the pickaxe picture, and people automatically go, "Oh, that's a 79 Hog." Could be the out of phase switch that Kurt's talking about. Kind of to me is would possibly say otherwise, but if you listen to all these YouTube interviews that are coming up now, I mean, our good friend Steve Rosen has them where Eddie talks about the 2-inch thick unfinished bodies. Jazz just put another one up. Eddie's talking about those and the time frames right there. My guess is Eddie had 2 to 3 of those bodies. It's, because he was looking for that mahogany body with at least the 2-inch thick, Les Paul width like this one is, bodies to make up for the brittleness that he thought that the Floyds at that time had. He wasn't into the Mighty Might brass stuff, the Rockingers. I wished I'd kept my Pacers that had the Rockingers because I wanted it for my collection, but I sold them. I'm still looking to get a Pacer back with a Rockinger just for my collection. I've had a few of them.
If Robbie Single's still in here, I think he said Eddie didn't get along with the Rockinger guys.
No, he didn't, and Robbie would have probably more detailed information than we did. But
We should have Robbie on one of these shows.
Yeah, actually, I'd love to have Robbie on because he's got some great information. But from what I know, and Robbie can jump in on the chat and correct me if I'm wrong, but Rockinger had said this is the Edward Van Halen model tremolo. They were a little bit put the cart before the horse a little bit. Eddie hadn't totally signed off on it, but everybody just wanted Eddie, like boom, 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 boom. And Rockinger was working with Kramer. So they thought they had it all locked in. Floyd Rose comes along, meets up with Eddie. I think it was on a plane or something like that. One of Eddie's, one of his texts or something said, "You got to come meet Eddie." And then Dennis met Eddie, and it was like, boom, the rest was history. And Floyd Rose, pretty much Kramer relationship was born. But
and Eddie met Floyd Rose in Seattle during the Van Halen 2 tour.
Yep, right. And that's where, the whole FRT 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just went from there. And, the rest is history. And the Rockinger kind of got just left in the dust. A lot of people don't like those. I actually think they're kind of cool. Do I like them like a Floyd? No, not even close. But they are kind of cool to have, and they do have some neat history to them. But as far as the these types of bodies are concerned, that very well could have been the Rude. It could have been the Circles. We don't know. I'm personally kind of thinking that Kurt's kind of thought process on that. I'm thinking it either is the Rude or it was the Circles guitar.
Yeah.
Which eventually became the Rasta.
The other thing too, Rob, and I know this has no validity because Eddie was notorious for switching out pickups all the time, but the Hog had a white blade pickup in it.
Yeah, like a Schaller blade.
And this bare body guitar that's on the ground here has a white or a cream pickup like the Rude and Circles had.
Yeah.
The other thing too that makes me think it could be the Rude, now that you're talking, there's that backstage photo with the Circles guitar that it shows the back with the "Buy See You Later" on it.
Yeah.
And then there's a bare body guitar and a guitar rack with a strap and a wireless set on it.
Yep.
That's a Bearwood guitar, and it's not the Hog. It's a lighter colored one. That could be it too. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I know what you're talking about. And that's another one I didn't really think of off the top of my head until you just said that. Yeah. I mean, anything's possible with these. Maybe one day we'll get, a little bit more info. But that's why I like these YouTube shows that, Jazz is putting out and Steven Rosen and everything, because we're hearing Eddie say a lot of stuff. And back in those days, he was sharp. He knew exactly what he was talking about because he was doing it at the time. A lot of people, like I said, no disrespect to Ed or anybody, obviously. I mean, but they listen to what Ed says 30 years later. He doesn't remember. I mean, he didn't even know he had a Kramer neck on the Frankenstrat. I mean, he just didn't remember. Eddie was always thinking ahead. He was always writing new music. He was never looking backwards like we are. We study this stuff. We're historians on this. We look back at those interviews. You got to talk to people that know what they're talking about. You can't, I hate to say it, but you talk to the people that were there. They don't remember it because it's 30, 40 years ago. They're not nutcases like we are. Right. Now you take somebody like Robbie Stingle, who remembers that stuff. That's pretty freaking cool. And that's why it's interesting to listen to a lot of the stuff he has to say. And Paul Unkert has some really great stuff, but you got to be careful with a lot of the information that a lot of these folks that, I'm not talking about Robbie, I'm talking about other folks. You got to be careful because so many of them just don't remember back then. It was 1982, 83, 81. Who the frick remembers? I don't remember what I did back then. I mean, I do, but
the other thing too, Rob, is since Eddie's passed, I think a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork and maybe hanging their hat on stuff that
of course
they weren't typically involved in because they're looking for an opportunity to prance on some fame. 100%. So, and Eddie's always been a guy that wasn't into the small details.
Right.
He just wasn't. He was about making tunes.
Yeah.
And taking care of business.
Yeah.
They were tools. They were tools to him, like you said. They were tools. Right. They weren't collector edition sports cars that exactly everything that's into them.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's true. And this particular guitar, the Rude, not the Rude, I'm sorry, the Circles guitar, which the Buy See You Later, the Unchained guitar, or whatever. One of the 2-inch thick bodies. This particular guitar did have Schaller double tabs on it, and the neck that is, and Donnie Ward, if he was in here, would agree with me. The neck that is on this guitar back then, is the neck that is on the Frankenstrat today, with different tuners on it. This was the neck that this neck originally that was on this guitar ended up on the Frankenstrat today. The neck that was put on the Rasta, this guitar, after it was painted, is a different neck. But just a little bit of fun fact information there. But I've always subscribed that this guitar was blue. And if you look at it in different lights, it looks black. Most time it looks black. And if you really look at it, you can kind of see that blue tinge. And I've showed pictures on my past videos, and Johnny B, John Burgess, good friend of mine too now, He even admits that there was a different kind of paint that very well had that midnight blue tinge to it. So when I look at pictures of this guitar, there's very few color pictures of it, but every once in a while you see like an angle and you can go, whoa, that almost looks blue to me. So Scott Smith and I and Jerry Like have always kind of thought that it's midnight blue, and it's fun to debate and everything.
Oh,
But to me, this latest version I did it that way because it looks black most of the time, but it satisfies that little piece of could it be, that blue tinge to it, whatever. And it's just cool. It's just different. And I like it. And so my version's always going to be that because that's what I believe. But I just think it's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, and Rob, you guys really did it, or actually, John did a deep dive on the color black and how it's a bunch of accumulation of blue tint or dye. Have you ever been to a printing press? Where they print newspapers or magazines?
Right. Yep.
See that black ink? It's like a paste.
Yeah.
It looks blue. It looks blue.
It does. It looks blue and it plays tricks on your eyes. And,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, and back, you got to think back in those days. I mean, the story that, so the story that I heard, and this is nothing but speculation, the story that I heard, and again, this is a story, was that Rudy painted this guitar for Ed. And the story, and this is a story, again, this is not fact. This is the story that I heard from someone who I think is reputable, that Rudy painted this and showed up with a dark blue paint, the midnight blue paint. And Ed was like, what's that? He's all, this is what they had. And Ed was like, always trying to turn the corner on people. He hated people copying his stuff back in the late 70s, early 80s. So cool. Do that. It's different, and people have said to me, well, when EVH made the Circles guitar, they did it black. What would make anybody think that EVH would remember would even know any of the stuff we're talking about right now? Of course it looks black. So they're going to make it look black when they paint them. It's just a little tiny little detail that may or may not be true.
When they made that EVH stripe series, the original Circles was painted over the Rasta pattern.
Right.
So they had nothing to reference other than photos.
And the person that I'm talking about, and I have yet to see pictures of this, says that there's some chips in the Rasta which show that blue underneath. They did a primer over that, whatever it was, black or blue, whatever it is. They did a gray primer over it. And you can see, and mine actually has it, you can see chunks of, like in here, this general area here where there's some primer in the bottom. They painted gray over it so they could do the Rasta artwork to it.
Well, we can talk offline because I have a line with the person that owns the Rasta now.
Yep. You and me both.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. Talk about that. But should we kill the should we at least just say that the Rasta does not belong to the person that everybody thinks it still does to?
Yeah, it would say it. I mean, Dweezil doesn't own it anymore.
Dweezil does not own it anymore.
Yeah.
So
that's a very unique guitar, and it's gone through a ton of transformation, and we can really get geeky here on some of the stuff. But one of the things I like about it is, Rob, if you hold it up, it's got the pickup ring on the humbucker. With the Rasta, he took the pickup ring off. It's gone, but over the paint, you can still see the holes.
Right.
The other thing too is the "Bye, see you later" tape on the back. A lot of people think that's paint, but it's actually, I think it's red gaffer's tape.
Yeah, that's what's on mine. Yep.
I don't know if it's gaffer's tape or if it's space tape.
I believe it's red gaffer's tape. That's what mine is.
But you can't see it on the backside of the Rasta, but you can see the blade marks where they originally cut it out, right?
Yeah, even on my Rasta,
they took it off. They took it off before they painted it, right?
Right. They did, yeah. But you can see the razor blade marks where they cut it out of the tape. Keith Campbell says Rudy definitely painted the EVH Rude guitar, and it was done around the same time. Thanks for that, Keith. I believe that as well. Appreciate that. How many 2-inch thick mahogany guitars were there? Unchained, Rasta, Rude, any others? Keith says three known mahogany bodies.
More than that. I've talked to Lynn Elmsworth. He lives in Spokane. He's 3.5 hours north. I actually went and visited him about 2 years ago.
Yep.
He said he made Eddie over 12 2-inch thick mahogany bodies.
Really?
12. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, OU812 is here. What's going on, dude? I'll tell you, he's got the sickest friggin' sounding wet, dry, wet system ever. He's got the same exact Steinberger Transtrum that I have, the GL2T. And I think his was painted and set up by the same guy. I think we got some stuff in common, bro.
Yeah. He does Summer Nights on his show. Woo.
Yeah, it's awesome. It sounds great. I was just playing Summer Nights on mine the other day. But so this is my Rasta, and it's got that Schaller blade to it. And this does have the
don't put your wood in my face.
Yeah, right. This has the cat puke on it right here. You can see it right there. It drips down here. So yeah, they call it the rock and roll vomit. It was actually from one of Valerie's cats, because Ed was leaving the bodies in the next laying around, and Valerie's cats were constantly walking around and, you know, vomiting like my cat does, and vomited on the body, and that's what it was. Speaking of cats, come here.
You have I see you have the pickup ring holes in yours as well.
Yep.
Another weird thing people might not know about this guitar. Flip it around, Rob. At one point, Eddie had a small cavity in the back covering the controls. You ever seen that photo?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like this big.
Oh, you're talking about the back of the Rude, right?
No, the Rasta. At one point, he had like a small.
Oh, yes, the cover plate. Yes, he had a Kramer.
The...
Yeah, he had a Kramer Pacer. Cover plate covering it. Yeah.
He just like screwed it right over the big part of the hole and then left the top part.
I used to have one on this one, and I
you did?
Yeah, and I am putting this one on. But I actually put an original Schaller Floyd on, because that's what is on it today.
Okay.
It's not what Eddie had on it. Eddie had a prototype FRT5 on it when he had it. But I got the the gold crown heads on mine, like Eddie's had. When the headstock was painted, that is, because this guitar, the Rasta version, went through a couple different changes. You know,
it's got a Frankie neck on it, right?
What's that?
It has a Frankie neck on it now, right?
Yeah, it's right now. It's got this neck, but it's a Frankie style neck. But when Eddie played in the Diver Down tour, it was a different neck, according to Donnie Ward. And then after the Diver Down, you can see the Panama outtakes video where Eddie's, the roadie's throwing it and Eddie's whatever holding it or whatever the case and all that. The guitar stayed in parts from like 83 until he gave it to Dweezil. So the only unknown thing is, at some point, Eddie or somebody painted the headstock to match the body, and it was in that video. But it was, like I said, it was in parts. So I don't know if Dweezil acquired these parts, the Floyd, when he got it, and the tuners, or if Eddie just gave him a bunch of parts to put the guitar together. We don't know. But it's kind of cool stuff.
And Ryan wants to know if you can see the "Bye, see you later" outline in yours.
Yes, you can on mine, because this was. You're not going to be able to see it here. I'll try to see if I can.
Yeah, Jerry Leica, he goes all out when he does these.
Oh, can you see it right in the bottom? Look in the bottom. You can kind of see the. Can you see it?
By the trem route.
Yep.
But
yeah,
he
you can see the E.
paints circles first, right? When he does these.
Yeah, this was painted circles first, blue, not black, blue, because Jerry does them blue too. And then he did the Rasta. And the only thing I did is I just added the primer paint on it, because like it, look, it wore off a little bit down here too, but just to make it look like it does today. But it's a hard one to paint. Yep. In the Norm's Rare Guitar videos that Dweezil does with this guitar, they didn't know what kind of pickup it was. They called it a DiMarzio, but it's actually a Schaller blade. That's what we believe it was. It wasn't a DiMarzio.
Yeah.
As far as we know, it was a Schaller blade. But
so anything new in the arsenal coming up? Or I know you just upgraded your wet, dry, wet. Do you have any guitars on the horizon?
You can see the 5152, which I picked up. which I'm running now on my wet dry wet rig. You know, I'm running a PV power amp, and I got the Eventide time factor and pitch factor, and you know, so my rig has pretty much stayed the same. As far as guitars, Craig, the only guitar I'm really waiting for now is Craig is doing one of my Kramers up. He's actually painting the multicolored Kramer. That was electrical tape, like the one I have up there. But Craig is actually going to do that guitar for me. He's had it for about a year or so now, and
So
it's
what's
just
the
a
one
tough
up in the
job,
corner?
huh?
What's the one up in the corner?
It's just a spare I have kicking around. It's not even hooked up. But the one that Craig is doing is a real Kramer guitar, and it's purple right now. And I kind of want it when you do it with a tape, it's more realistic than what the real one is. But the tape peels up and it pulls, and it just, you know, I had this kind of a harebrained idea last year. I said, why don't we just paint it? I know Neil Daly has done some, and they look great. And Craig's going to be doing mine, and it's not going to be totally accurate, realistic wise, because it's not tape. But it's not, the tape's not going to pull up over the years either. So I'm kind of pumped about that. So that's one.
Yeah, but yours has the correct pickups and the right amount of knobs and all that.
Yeah, it does. Wayne says, question, why is it a secret who owns the Rasta? Honestly, Wayno, only because the individual that owns it has asked us not to mention that yet. And just out of respect for that person. I don't even like doing that. I hate doing that. I hate saying I know something, but I can't tell. It's annoying because I know people like, well, what is it? But sometimes I regret even mentioning that. But just out of respect for that individual, I hope folks understand. One day, I think we'll get to see, because he owns a whole bunch of Eddie guitars.
Right, but if we said it's Bill Anderson, like,
Yeah.
no one knows who that is.
It's the same guy that owns. It's the same guy that right now owns the Hot for Teacher too, and a whole bunch of others. And he actually owns the Blue Headstock Frankie. He owns a bunch of Eddie's Wolfgangs, Music Man's, backup 5150s. But
Now you're backing yourself into a corner.
yeah, I know. Now everybody's gonna hate me because they're not saying who it is.
Join the club.
His name is Kurt Snyder. Yeah, right. Dakota says, I see the red PV Wolfgang prototype on your wall. Did Jim DeCola build it, or did you? No, that actually is a, I'm not going to go quote that, but that's this the PV Wolfgang standard. It's not a quilt top, it's a flame, which Ed's was a quilt top. But I went to Staples and got the right decals, and I wanted to make it look like Ed's prototype that he plays in the Irvine 95 show. And I painted the scoop and the headstock red too. So yeah, that's kind of a cool guitar. That's one of my favorite PVs, actually.
Which I think the first 5 had the painted scoops.
Yeah, Amber one did too. He had an Amber one too.
And a purple one. And there was one more. It's in that fold out where they're all lined up on the amps.
Yeah, Keith knows who I'm talking about. Who we're talking about.
Oh,
boy. I really hope that one of these days, you know, some of these folks that have these guitars come out of the woodwork, and, you know, I don't see what the big secret is anymore. Come on, you know, release the stuff. Just, you know, come on, have fun with it. You know, it's great to know, you know, and hear about this stuff, and, you know, and kind of have some cool information. But I mean, at this point, like, come on, just, you know, just have some fun with it, you know. And that goes for all the live recordings that they have from all the different tours and the audio. You know, like, I'm not pushing pressure. I'm not trying to say put pressure on. I'm not saying Wolfgang go into the vault and release all that. I'm not going there. That's a totally different story. I hope one day when Wolfie's ready to do that, that'll be cool. I'm sure he'll make it amazing when he does do that. I'm talking more about all the live recordings they have from like Balance and OU812 and the old stuff, you know, that folks have, some of the bootleggers and some of the pro shot stuff that they recorded on these shows. Like, man, release that stuff, you know. I mean, it's just fun stuff. I mean, everybody would love that, you know.
Yeah. And Rob and we've talked about this, and I'll put myself out there. I don't think we're going to see anything else from Van Halen other than remastered albums. I don't think we're going to see any videos or unreleased songs or unreleased footage. So the people out there who have it, please put it out there so we can enjoy it, so we can hold on and keep this candle flame burning.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm not holding my breath for anything to come out from the Van Halen camp. And if you go back, how long have they been a band? 40 some years. There was more years of disappointment than there were excitement. We had just as many great years as we did. Oh, nothing's coming out this year. No tour, no album. And I think that's just par for the course when it comes to the band. And I love them more than anything, but I just don't think that's a priority of theirs. And it may never be until, someone else is managing that stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kurt. I it's certainly not a priority to the folks that are in the in the controlling booth, so to speak. What I find what's unfortunate though is so many of us want this, and again, I'm not necessarily coming out saying, get into the vault, release that stuff. That would be great. And yeah, I'm excited for that one day. I hope it does. I'm speaking merely on the live stuff. Let's see some live footage, some concerts, put out a bunch of live stuff. I know they have pro shot shows of almost every show in Balance, whole bunch of tours, because every once in a while you'll see a news clip on YouTube that shows it. So obviously they have the shows. There's audio, there's video. That's the kind of stuff that I think most of us would love to see. I remember a year and a half ago getting up one morning, having coffee, and I'm on YouTube. All of a sudden, there's a pro shot show of Irvine, California, October 15th, 1995. I'm like, whoa, sweet. I had an audience recording of that show. And it was just like, wow, Eddie was playing the red quilt top, prototype PV.
The whole thing right
yeah,
there, right?
And it's just like, damn, that is so fucking cool. Folks, release that shit. We want to see it. We'll pay for it. Like, that's going to do nothing other than continue the legacy. Like, I just really think the people that, that have this stuff are missing the boat. Why not release it? I mean, that's just coming from me and Kurt, but really cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, should we wind things down, Rob?
Yeah. Why don't we? Kurt, is there anything you want to show on your wall? You want to show? You want to show your bumblebee with?
Yeah. I'll keep my camera on so you can see me stand up. I'm not wearing pants.
I just want to see your ass. I'm glad he took his headphones off when I said that.
Excuse me, I got headphones on. All right, so this bumblebee I built, man, it's been 2 years probably. K&E ash body.
Yep.
This is actually a DiMarzio Tone Zone pickup. And then Rob helped me with the bridge, idea on the bridge. It is a special, but I upgraded to some FU tone stuff, but it's actually a antique bronze. And then I put the chrome bar on it. But because this guitar had a couple different Floyds on it. He had a gold one, he had the chrome one, and then the chrome wore off and got like all nasty and rusted. So it's kind of my, I guess, tribute to the two different Floyds that I had on it.
That antique bronze is a great way to replicate that if you don't want to do what I did on mine and actually do it for real. It's just such a great thing to have. It's when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, that's perfect for the bee,
And it looks cool with the titanium screws and saddles.
Yep.
And then of course I copied Rob on doing the headstock with the knots, which actually wasn't easy, kind of hard. Gold string retainer. Mine doesn't have double tab showers. It just has Godos on it. FU tone block. And then I put a Charvel neck plate on it, an EVH Charvel neck plate.
Ooh, where'd you get that strap?
Lewis. Fairfield guitar. This is number 6. I actually helped Lewis with putting together this button. Rob helped me get the original button from someone else, and then I scanned it and sent it to Lewis so he could make his.
Lewis is the man.
Yeah, for sure. There he is. He's in here.
He is. Lewis is the man. Love Tone Zone. Yeah, Keith said the same thing. Bree the Sign Guy. Great show. Ratings are up. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Robbie says Edward had 2 1-star and 2 2-star, and he would rotate because the Floyds were constantly being changed because he didn't use the fine tuner spring, and the fine tuners would develop play. Interesting.
PF Darkside 1 says, Kurt, what parts you need to replace the special to bring it up to plain par? I would say the biggest issue with the specials is the base plate is a different type of steel. It's not as rigid as the German. So what I did is I replaced titanium saddles, titanium screws, and then I pushed the claw all the way to the front and then put heavy duty springs in it to keep it pushed down up against the body. And when that thing's flat up against the body as far down as you can get it, I think that helps with any kind of, I guess, the Floyd flexing. And it stays in tune pretty good.
Yeah.
And then getting titanium screws in the nut helps as well. Get it tight. So
yeah, there's all kinds of little things you can do, mods, and some people say, "Oh, that doesn't make a difference," and whatever, and I can't hear anything, and I think a lot of it is just you do it because it just makes it more accurate, makes it more fun. But when you add up a lot of those little things, like the titanium screws, like the different saddles, different blocks, saddle blocks. I mean, the blocks in the back, all those types of things, different springs. When you add all those together, I do believe it makes a difference, and it adds a lot of resonance to the guitar. There's nothing like picking up an electric guitar. I've always said this, and Dave Neslo used to say this too. And there's nothing like picking up an electric guitar acoustically and just hitting a chord, hitting an A chord or whatever, and and just hitting it, and you can just hear those strings just ring. It's like, whoa. You can almost feel a guitar when it feels dull when you hit a chord acoustically, an electric guitar, and then which is fine. But then you hit one that just rings, and to me, that's like, wow. 9 times out of 10, those are the best players. I mean, they just really are. It just, they're like this one here. It's magic. It's absolutely magic. The action is super low. I took those stupid freaking useless aluminum tone robbing plates off the bottom of the Floyd because you don't need them. They don't do anything other than rob tone. And you get a nice, when you take those aluminum plates off the bottom of the Floyd, you have your base. And then if it's floating, it doesn't matter. But if you want to have your Floyd rest on the base of the body, you get that solid base directly on the wood, and it resonates. It's like Eddie did a show on a Japanese show back in '98 during the 03 tour with a Taksukumi or whatever the guy's name, I don't remember. And he put the guitar on the wooden table. And he's like, that's what he said he used to do when he was a kid. It would resonate. It's the same exact idea with these Floyds. The Whale Tails never had that shit on there because you don't need them. And they had a nice big freaking big ass steel block on the back like this one does. That equals magic. Big steel block, take those things off, rest that base on the body, and it's going to give you a lower action too if you like that. And it equals magic. Craig, I did that to mod to Craig Stofko's guitar. He was like, Craig's a great player. And he was like, whoa, he's like, you're right. I've never heard of that before. It's amazing.
The other thing I've done too, Rob, in all of my Floyds is the 3 screws that hold the Floyd base plate to your block.
Yep.
I found Home Depot sells titanium versions of those screws. So I took the screw down.
I've never done. I've never done that, but now you say that makes sense. I should do that. Yeah.
They're 90 cents a piece.
Wow. Are they
Get
the
'em in
Allen
there.
heads? Allen heads or are they Phillips?
Allen heads.
Whoa.
Get them in there up in your block, and that titanium, Adam Reaver says it's another link in the chain, right?
Yeah, totally. That's
Get
what we
it
just
tight.
said. Like every little piece adds up,
Yeah, so you can do that as well, is get those get that block cinched up good against your base plate with a good screw that doesn't come loose, and then that titanium's resonant, so it
Totally.
helps.
Hey, thanks, Kyle. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well too. Yeah, that's the key. I mean, every little thing that you can do to enhance and increase playability, sound, feel, resonance, that it all makes a difference. And what we're talking about is not gospel. It's not for everybody. Some people like a high action. I like a nice low action. It's easier for me to play. I know Robbie Stingle likes a nice low action too. Him and I've watched him his videos. He talks about that. I'm the same way. But you take a guy like Bill, from Van Hagar, the lead guitarist. The guy plays freaking tens, and his action's a mile high off the fretboard, and he friggin' smokes. He plays 10 times better than I can play. I'm like, how the fuck do you play that guitar like that with tens on a floor with an action that high? It's like, whoa, I just don't get it. But it's all in what you like and what feels right. So everything that we're talking about is not for everybody, but I do say when it comes to the Floyd Rose, and I've been saying this forever, if you take those plates off the bottom, you take your block off, take those plates off, and you go the base directly to the block. If you want to have your Floyd like Eddie had resting on the body so you can't pull up, you are going to get the most insane, those things. You are going to get the most insane tonal resonance out of that guitar. Now, if you float with your Floyd, it doesn't really make a big difference. I will say there are some instances, and I've seen it only once, and on my green guitar, I had to put that plate on this one. I took it off. I had to because the action was so low. I couldn't make the adjustments, and it was just too low to where the strings were laying on the frets, and I had shims. I had no shim, so I couldn't do anything unless I wanted to like sand the back of the heel. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. There are some cases where no matter shimming the neck or raising the posts, no matter what you do, sometimes you do have to use those, but I'll try to get away with one or the other. If I'm going to use the little finger plate or the base, I'll use one or the other. I try not to use them both. But 9 times out of 10, you don't need either of them, and you'll get a much more resonant sound. I did it to Jimmy Carr's Music Man too, and he was like, "Whoa, dude!" I mean, it was like noticeably different, and it sustains like you wouldn't believe. But just a little trick, that stuff that you learn over the years through trial and error. R2 R3 says exactly that's the reason. I mean, the one thing I will say that if you do that mod and you take those two pieces off, and everybody that's watching, listen very clearly because this is true. The one thing that does make a problem for is if you have a D tuner and you're in D, okay, like this. It's in D, right? You use the bar, it wants to slip back into E.
It falls in place.
Falls forward because it doesn't have that pressure. That's the one thing you got to pay attention to, like right there. See, I'm in D. I use the bar, slips back to E. So you got to kind of keep an eye on that. That's the one thing that doing that mod does raise a little bit of hell with. When I hit the bar, I just naturally just come back and pull it real quick. So that's the one thing those little tensioner plates do is they keep the D tuner, in D if you want to do that. Other than that, if you're not running the D tuner and you're going to go old school, you don't need them. You just don't. And it's just something that, you got to kind of try on your own. But
so Rob, I've seen on YouTube where if you're having problems with the D tuner sliding back in, if you put a little dab of grease on the spring that goes inside, that it'll keep the spring from sliding in and out on your string screw, and it'll only move when you pull it.
Are you talking about sexual stuff again?
little lube. Yeah, a little Astro Glide. So if you put a little bit of like axle grease or whatever in there, it'll actually keep it in place.
Interesting. I did not know that.
It moves, right? And the spring will just move back and forth. But if you put a little grease in there, it'll hold it.
Yep.
And it'll only move when you pull it out with your hand.
Wow,
So,
very cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Geeky stuff.
Geeky stuff. Well, I thought we probably ought to better wrap it up. But
Yeah.
Kurt, I had a great time hanging out with you again, buddy. And we got to do this more often. And,
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to be on you guys' show one of these nights. It'd be kind of fun to hear you guys out. And
yeah, we got to figure out a Wednesday when you can come that works for you.
I come every Wednesday.
Caleb's usually, what's that?
I come every Wednesday, usually about 10 o'clock at night, and then about, I don't know, babe, what, about 2 a.m. in the morning? No.
Because sometimes Caleb can't make it because he's got priorities. So
shows, yeah.
Fill in for Caleb for sure.
Oh, you ate when two says jump on mine anytime. You know what? I would love to come on your show. I love the vibe that you put out there on your shows. I've been watching a ton of your shows. You're a great guitar player. Your sound is just fucking insane. And yeah, I would love to come hang out with you guys sometime. So shoot me a message on Instagram, RobCJ5150, and we'll set something up, brother. Thank you very much. And folks, if we didn't get to every single question, we really apologize. We were trying to bang through a whole bunch of stuff just because we hadn't seen each other in a while, and we wanted to get through a whole bunch of guitar stuff. But Kurt and I love doing this, and Kurt's always welcome on my show. Maybe we can do one next week. But I just wanted everybody to know that I am going to be doing more of these shows, and I have some stuff that I'm going to put out on some specific guitars and history, because I have been paying attention to what you guys are asking for. And I really appreciate people watching. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you, Rob, for having me. It was a great time. Always a fun hang with you. And like I said, I should be getting my 5150 body here in the next couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I'm going to bang that thing out, and hopefully I can show it here in the next month.
Can't wait to see it, man. I'm excited to have you use that neck. I think you're going to love it when you put that thing on. That is one of those magical necks, to me anyways, that just feels incredible, you know?
Sure. I appreciate it.
Yeah. But I just want to say, everybody too, you know, that watched and inputted, put, you know, some comments and just hung out with us tonight. Thank you so much. You guys are the reason why we love doing this, and a whole bunch of folks that are watching do their own shows. And I just want to give a shout out to everybody that does these shows and has a passion for these guitars, and for Eddie, and for helping people out and just hanging out and having a good time. That's what it's all about, is having fun. I really appreciate everything and all the support every one of you have given me over the years on Facebook, Instagram, you know, on YouTube. Thank you so much. You guys are fucking awesome, and I appreciate everything you do. And because of stuff like this, I've been allowed to meet people like Kurt, you know, and make new friends. And that's what it's about. It really is. Keith says, bang that body out. But thank you, everybody. And Kurt, man, I love you, brother. Thank you so much for hanging with me tonight.
Love you too, man. And thanks for having me. It was great chatting with you. And let's do this again. And we'll have Sammy finish us out here.
Rack of what? Some of that.
I
don't know if we can settle down.
I don't know.
But we'll have some rack of what?
Have some rack of what? Got some specials. Anybody want the fellas to have some specials tonight? Have a good night, you guys. Love you guys all. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on social media, and we'll see you on this channel pretty soon. And guys, my girlfriend is just so fucking distracting, I'll tell you. Unbelievable. But
Rob's gonna be busy tonight.
You gotta meet her someday.
I know, I will.
She's like me on freaking steroids. She's worse.
I don't know if I can handle that.
Can you even imagine? Thank you, everybody. Love you guys so much. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.